Hi there, I'm Lance Merrill, and these are Lance's Legends. Today, I've got a special guest, Kim Frankum. He's been a professional skier for the last 50 years, and in 1980 had an accident while doing avalanche control at Sundance and lost his leg. He's got quite an amazing experience and even a better smile. Kim has a saying that if you meet someone who's lost their smile, give them yours. I hope you enjoy this. Thanks for watching.
Intermountain Freestyle Association or something like that. It wasn't WAFA.
International Freestyle Association.
Yeah. And it was the first one we'd ever had there. And me and Kim Jackman, I mean, we could do those ballet moves and stuff. We were doing them on 205s. For some reason, anytime I go upside down, I never wrecked. It was the weirdest thing because that was when I first tried I tried a half in, half out off that Galandi up there, and I lit that sucker just as perfect as I could be. It was a full twisting double.
Wow.
And I just went, whoa. But I got hurt because, see, I was going to Europe with Rosignol. I was there on their freestyle team. I'm patrolling the whole time and then trying to get my little freestyle gig on at the time. We built that one on the face up there at Sundance. It was actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, that was a good jump.
It wasn't a bad one at all because you had that steep in run off the face.
And then, but it leveled out. You had a good transition.
Exactly. And then you built the kicker. It was way back on that flatter area where it came through. And you just floated right over onto that downhill, and you just had to stop before he went in the creek. That was all. Yeah, that was a real good jump. I was just looking through some pictures the other day, and there's a picture of me doing a backflip off that Galandi at Sundance. That's one of the reporters. Wow. Yeah, well, he's kind of helping him, because he junior can ski downhill. He's the same as me.
Yeah.
I'm great. Get me up on the mountain, I'll smile all day long. As soon as I get home and I have to start doing chores, I'm going, oh, there we go. Because I've had 10 vertebrae fused in the last 3 years.
If you don't mind telling me about how the accident with your leg.
Oh.
How long have you been skiing on one leg?
I skied on one leg for 40 years. Almost.
So, yeah, and so you've been a professional skier, either patrol or ski school for 40 years.
No, 50 years this year.
50 years. Tell them how it happened, Kim.
That I've been paid to ski, which is always really, really nice.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of, I always say it was the worst day I've ever had in my life, and it almost kind of is. But 4.5 feet of snow in 2 days. We had to actually close one day to get the snow cleared out from under the lifts because we didn't have the snow cats and stuff that they have now.
Yeah.
We shoveled our butts. But just to get the lifts to turn, the bow wheel to be able to go around. This was 80, February 15th, heavy wet snowstorm. I had gone up with a rookie kid, a guy named Rudy Nilsson. He's dead now, so that doesn't matter, but he's the same guy that pushed the Avalanche down juniors on Allen White the next year. I was out on control. I took the route that came off the top of Sundown down around where you went around to Boot Hill, Expedition. Boot Hill slid. Expedition slid. And as short and steep as that is, it went all the way down. This kid I was with got really nervous. He had never seen anything like that. And these weren't just loose snow sloughs. These were slab avalanches, go climax, clear of the ground. And that's how heavy and wet it was. It was just one of those freaky, like January thaw things we got, only it was in February. Because it was an incredible snow year. It was a great snow year. And so we went back up, top of Mandan. There's an area in the Black Forest there, just as you go around from Marmot Gulch. And you can kind of go down in there, and there's a big open spot, and there's some ledges above it. Those ledges that you can see from the right going up that new lift, they used to call Frankum's Rock because I do my flips off that cliff over there before the pine trees grew up 40 feet tall.
Yeah.
But anyway, Frankum's Rock, those cliffs run clear back through that forest. This kid was just impatient. He was not waiting for me to get down to where I had to. It was so heavy and wet, it took me a long time to get down to the test plot where I was going to throw my bomb. And so he's supposed to wait till he hears me yell on the radio, fire in the hole 3 times.
Yeah.
Fire in the hole, fire in the hole, fire in the hole. And I got a 90-second fuse to get out of there. And so I'm on a ridge, safe spot. I'm going to lob this thing. It was a 5-pound charge. Usually a tree-lined ridge, you're pretty safe, you know, in a slide zone. He got nervous, hiked up over his ledge, looked down to see if he could see where I was, and the whole thing just dropped. And it made a noise, ungodly noise. It just, you could just hear. And it peeled clear back both ridges, the ridge I was on, and it took me down through the pine trees and just played pinball with me a little bit. I hit one little 6-inch pine, it broke my shoulder. But I pulled my arm in, I had my hand right on my radio button. And I had Jack Schinderling. He was in the Snowcat, the old 2100 Diacol. He was cleaning up the debris from Boot Hill and Expedition where they'd already slid down. He was trying to because it peeled clear over to that road on where Roundup comes around. Anyway, he saw the run out. He was on his way back there or something, but he saw the run out of the slide I was in, just bringing all kinds of debris down the mountain, and he could hear me screaming on that radio. It was the first year we had peeps. I had my peeps on. He heard me on the radio, and what he did was he just kind of followed the toe of the slide right up to where he could see my busted up equipment and my clothes, ripped my coat off. And it was such heavy wet snow, it was so tumultuous, it just tumbled and tumbled. And when that kind of snow stops, it just sets. It just freezes.
Like cement.
Exactly. After getting bounced around through the pine trees a little bit, I hit one, just boom. So it just buckled me right in half. Wow. And the snow just kind of wrapped me right around that tree. But I had the perfect storm because it broke both my femurs, my pelvis. I had a cracked sternum. My left femur came out the back of my leg and severed the sciatic nerve in the femoral artery. So I was within minutes of bleeding to death.
Bleed out, yeah.
Exactly. The compression of that snow holding me against that tree kept me from bleeding to death.
Wow.
My body core dropped down to about 88 degrees, which kept my heart from pumping so fast.
Yeah.
My left ski boot was on top of my face, but it was around the backside of the tree, which I knew that wasn't good. I knew that wasn't good. But it kept an ice mask from forming on my face, which is usually what kills people in avalanches. They'll suffocate, and then they breathe out, the mask forms, and you're 10 minutes, you're done. So it took them about 35 minutes to get me out of there. Jack got there. He got my head free, saw the ski boot on top of my face, and he just sat there and started puking. And I'm going, Jack, come on, just get me out. Finish this job. So by then, there was a few other patrolmen that had showed up. They had some shovels. They had the Life Flight helicopter coming when they found out that I was really messed up. And that leg was around the back of that tree. They got me in a toboggan, got me out to Midway, man down, there was a helicopter waiting. As soon as I got in that helicopter and got warmed up a little bit, I started painting the walls like you wouldn't believe. I was squirting blood from hell to breakfast. I mean, it was going. They got me tourniqueted up when I got in the helicopter. So it ended up being, like I said, kind of the perfect storm. The avalanche that took my leg saved my life. It really did. Because I was hurt. I was in the hospital for a long time, and then over a period of 7 years, I've had 7 different amputations and revisions from osteomyelitis that got hooked in there from the open fractures. So I was kind of like a living house payment for the docs. Anytime they wanted a little new car or something, let's get Frankum. We can whittle on him for a while. He doesn't care because he can't feel it. The leg was dead. And so I was dragging it around, and it worked on like these Forrest Gump braces, you know, with the hinge at the knee and a big collar around your thigh and then a hinge at the ankle. I just kept saying, this doesn't work. Why are we, messing around amputating things? Let's go. Exactly. So because my femoral artery was severed and the sciatic nerve, I didn't have any viable skin. Yeah. The skin would just kind of deteriorate down there. In fact, still to this day, if I just hit my stump with my fingernails, it'll bleed. So I have to be pretty careful about getting sores. And that's the one thing that made me nervous about going back to 2 skis last year, was how much is that going to bang on that stump. Yeah. I've been pretty careful, been pretty good.
Well, you look good on 2 skis, man.
Oh, it's been so fun. It's taken so much pressure off my hip and off my spine. I mean, skiing on one side for a long time is going to make you a little crooked.
We had this chick in the 70s, and she bought a season's pass, and she had a radial fracture, so she was in a cast for the whole season.
Yeah.
And this is back in the day of mini skirts.
Oh, yeah.
And I took her to my senior dinner dance, and she'd been skiing all year on one ski. And then she had the other leg in a cast.
Yeah.
Up to her
Oh, yeah.
Back when mini skirts were like mini skirts.
Mini skirts.
And we went to this dance, but she had this one little withered leg, and then this other one looked like she belonged in a strongman competition.
I did that same thing, and I don't know if you remember on Maverick, the rollers, what they call the rollers going over there, they used to have a lot different shape to them then. I went down the in-run. You used to be able to hit the lip on the first roller, fly over the valley of the second one, and then land on the downhill side of the second one.
Yeah.
I hit a patch of ice or something on the in-run, going about as fast as I could go. Long thongs, for safety straps, on a pair of probably 210 Headmasters or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Christmas Eve, 1968. Busted both legs. My right leg was busted in lots of places. My left leg wasn't too bad. Yeah, I had one of those hip casts on. Oh, my goodness. I can't tell that story. But anyway, the bone didn't get set. Dr. Clark, I never forget. He was the only one they could find on Christmas Eve because he was a Seventh-day Adventist, and he wasn't...
He wasn't worried about it.
He wasn't worried about it. My tibia ended up growing right out through my cast. It just started to hurt, and then all of a sudden there's a spot of blood. And so they had to take my whole cast off again and then reset that leg. And then they put some screws in it. That one was like your girlfriend. It was sat in there for like 8-9 months, shriveled up, looked like an arm that was hanging off your hip. So my left leg's a good, strong, long leg. I was 1.5 inches taller on the left side than I was on the right side.
Really?
Yeah, I was a junior in high school. Yeah, it didn't grow while I was in there. The other one did. I was 6 foot tall at one time almost.
Well, no wonder your back was screwed up. Your legs was that different.
Exactly. They cut my long leg off, so now I'm back down to 5'10", and I can't get any taller.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of that story. It continues a little bit because the very first thing I did the next year, after my right leg healed, I got on a ski, and I don't know if you remember the K-Tel. They were these little plastic skis that kids could stand on, and they had a heel cup. So I went and bought me one of those, and I tied it on this left leg, because it was just flopping. It would just go like that. I tied it on there so it wouldn't dig in the ground while I was skiing. I tied that little ski on there, and I got on one ski, just my ski poles, and I just kind of started trying it. And then the next run, the fatigue, was a factor at first. It was just getting stronger and stronger, and pretty soon, at the time, I was still running the ski patrol. I was actually the director of skiing, so I was running the ski school, the ski patrol.
That's when you always ride that skidoo around all along.
Yeah, that's exactly why. I patrolled from a skidoo.
I know you did.
And one time I had a little fireman's hat with a little light on it that would blink and a siren would go. So I'd sit in Long Hollow, going back to Flathead, wait for speeders to come through, and I'd go pull them over. Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. Hilarious. Talking of the next slide, before we get into the adaptive thing, this same kid, they were on control, another heavy snow day. Alan Waite, he was a veteran ski patrolman. He was one of our avalanche instructors, careful all the time. But this kid cut on top of him while he was zigzagging juniors to keep it from,
Yeah.
sliding. Rudy just comes flying in there. The whole thing, Junior slid all the way down to the ground.
And that's contained. I mean, that's like
Yeah,
a
it's
bolt
just shoot. And I'd seen that slide several times.
Oh.
And so I knew exactly where the toe of that slide was going to be. I heard the call on the radio. I got on that snowmobile, and I went up there as fast as I could get there. He was buried. I could see 2 fingers and a thumb of his glove sticking out of the snow. That was it. I wasn't sure how long he'd been there, but I didn't have a shovel with me. So I just started digging with my hands. I followed his arm down because I knew his head would have to be right under there somewhere.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was pretty light, fluffier snow. I got down to him, and he was getting an ice mask formed on his face. I busted that loose. I couldn't hear him breathing, so I just kept digging. I fell onto him from off my knees because I'd crawled up to him. I couldn't walk. I got a big award from National Ski Patrol for saving his life or something.
Well, speaking of awards, you just went to St. George. You got a
Lifetime Achievement Award from Utah Recreation and Parks. But yeah, that was one of the coolest things that's ever happened in my life, was getting him out of there.
What other awards? I mean, you've gotten a lot of awards.
Oh my goodness sakes. I was awarded in 1983 the Outstanding Ski Patrolman in the Nation. I've won a couple national championships in disabled skiing,
Really?
Canadian National, and I won the downhill in 1990, the World Ski Parade. Everybody came from everywhere. Another cool thing is I got to carry the torch in the 2002 Olympics. Yeah, right up to almost into the stadium where they went to light the thingy that
No kidding.
and it went up. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And I still have the torch. I've slowed down a touch. I still hunt. I still love, to get out in the mountains, camping, lit in a tent. This year, camping on the elk hunt in the Uintas, 10 days in September that we were up there. So he gets 2 of these little bottles, propane, that they'll screw right into the heater, and you can make it, it'll last for 3 or 4 hours. Well, he brought a couple of extras in, and he's an amputee as well. We're both laying in bed. I don't know where my leg was. I took it off. Somehow he rolled over and knocked one of those propane bottles. It rolled down in front of that heater and blew up. It was just squirting flames. It was a full bottle. It was just squirting. I think what happened was the pressure relief valve blew off. So it had a little orifice that it was so hot. But it burnt the quilt off the top of me, burnt my air mattress, burnt my sleeping bag, melted all of the screens in the tent. That's how hot it got.
Yeah, wow.
Kind of burned the side of my face. Couldn't find a knife anywhere. I was trying to claw my way out the side of that tent so hard. But luckily he got rolled over, grabbed his prosthetic leg and just smacked that bottle and got it turned away from me. I don't get scared. I was scared to death. I woke up and whoa! No, it was crazy. I think I'm on life number 9. Honestly, God doesn't want me up there yet because he's had plenty of chances. One of the coolest things ever did at Sundance. In fact, it brought me to tears that day. Was we skied that great big huge American flag they call Big Betsy. We actually skied that down from the top of Sundance, down around Bear Claw, and then stopped right at about mid-Bear Claw.
I think I remember seeing
There was
pictures of
about
that.
30 or 40 of us carrying that flag,
it.
maybe. Yeah,
Wow.
and I got to do that, and it was just the most patriotic thing I've ever felt in my life. It was just really cool. I've been lucky enough to be able to ski a lot of places in this world, in Canada and the United States, and there's not a prettier place than Sundance.
Timpanogos is an amazing mountain.
It's an amazing mountain.
But and Sundance, it's a family-friendly, great place. Everybody's laid back, and even on a bad line day, there's some traffic in the canyon, but it's nothing like the Cottonwood.
Yeah, it's incredible. And Sundance is also unique to the fact that when you ski down a decent run, you're going to come out of the chairlift. You go to Alda, you go to Park City, you go to Snowbird even, and you're skiing down, well, then you've got some kind of a road or a traverse to kind of get back to where you want to be.
To the lift,
Yeah. Sundance is very unique in that fact.
It's a good mountain.
I love it.
Well, Kim, listen, I appreciate you coming and spending time.
Oh, it's been fun.
And
I loved it.
Well, Kim, you're the man.
Well,
thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This has been Lance's Legends. I hope you enjoyed today. Thanks for watching.